W legends Jerry Lynn and Mikey Whipwreck. Now, let's welcome your host, Mike Freland.
Good evening, everybody. It is Future Stars Now. My name is Mike Freland. We are part of the Front Row Material umbrella. Keep you from getting rained on. I am soon to be joined by the Ritt, and I'm also going to be joined by a special correspondent / analyst, Kate. You probably remember her from the last time she appeared on Front Row Material. She's going to be joining us again this evening. However, we have a big, great guest. Her name is Leila Gray. You've probably seen her in the independent scene, but you've probably also seen her most recently on AEW. She is a fast rising star in the world of wrestling, and we have the pleasure of speaking with her this evening. So we will get to her in 1 second, but let me bring on my follically challenged friend, Mr. Ritt. How are you, buddy?
Not bad, Freland. How are you doing this evening?
Well, I went to the chiropractor, and yeah.
Hey, I go once a week, and it's barely helping.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to keep going back. She says she wants to see me 3 days a week. It's the best I've ever had of a relationship, 3 days a week. Heck, my wife doesn't even want to do that. So you know what? We're going to keep going. There's co-pays though, unless you have a good insurance.
Hey, mine's $38 every time.
That's good. That's good. I might have to get a hold of Doc Sampson. Jerry says he does a wonderful job. But I tell you what, we will pause that for a second. Let's go ahead and let's bring on Kate. Kate, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
We are good. We are glad to have you back here again so you can lend your expertise and your insight into the world of wrestling. So how have you been recently?
Good. Not as busy as the world of wrestling has been, but I've been well. Things are definitely picking up all over. So it's been a lot to keep up with, but very exciting.
I believe the phrase is believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear, because when it comes to wrestling, you just never know really what's the true story, and we're finding out more and more information, and it is very exciting. We'll be getting to that later on, but let's get to the main event. Let's get to this young lady who is making waves in wrestling, and she is having a great, in my opinion, 2021. It is Leila Gray. Come on in, Leila. How are you?
Hey, how are you guys?
We're good. We're glad that you carved out some time for us today. We appreciate that. How you been?
Absolutely. I've been really great. I actually just moved to Orlando 2 days ago. So that's why the camera's like facing this tiny little corner, because my whole apartment is filled with boxes and it's crazy. And
Well, congratulations on the new move. Moving is never a fun thing to do. It's always this chaotic thing of I got to get this packed, that packed. What did I label? What did I not label?
Exactly. Yeah. And we started labeling, and then like halfway through, we just like gave up. So now like we don't know what is in what. And yeah, I'll be wearing workout clothes probably for the rest of the week.
You do what you can until you're settled in.
Absolutely. But I'm so happy that I am now in Central Florida, because it's so much closer to work, so much closer to, just wrestling in general. A lot of shows and things happening over here. I was in Miami before, so far down south, and it was just always a mission to get to places. So I feel good about this.
So I know this is kind of a stereotypical first question here, but what is it about wrestling? Why wrestling, Leila? Of all the different things you could do, why did you decide this is my path?
Oh man. And it's funny because I actually didn't even grow up a wrestling fan. I used to watch it as a kid, like late 90s, early 2000s. And then I kind of grew away from it. But then just little things kept happening in my life that kind of just led me to that. I had joined like the gym, started taking like kind of like amateur wrestling classes. So that was kind of like the beginning. I was working as a model. So I started doing work as a ring girl for MMA events. So that just introduced me to the world of sports entertainment. So I was like, wow, this is really cool. I definitely would like to do something like this. I don't know about MMA or boxing and things like that, but I was definitely intrigued with the world of it. And also really interesting, a little fun fact is that I grew up with a wrestler that that many of you may know, Zelina Vega.
Yes.
So me and her, we were childhood friends. We went to elementary school, middle school together, and I remember when we were teenagers, she told me how she wanted to do pro wrestling. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that too, because I've always enjoyed beating up like my family and my friends. I always used to wrestle them at home, and so it was something we used to do for fun. And she went on and pursued it, and she's achieved great success. I went another entertainment route. I was doing music and modeling and acting, but I felt like it wasn't enough. It wasn't fulfilling enough. And, Zelina always inspired me throughout the years. I would always see her do her thing. And I'm like, man, I always felt like I can do something like this. Like, looks like so much fun. And a few years back, I was in the cover of a magazine. They did a Q&A. They had asked me, what is something people don't know about you? I'm like, well, when I was little, I wanted to be a wrestler. And I'm like, and I still kind of do. And then fast forward 2 years after that magazine article is that I actually decided to pursue it and go down that route. And it's been amazing thus far. It gives you so much confidence. Yeah, I feel like a badass, and you get to go out there and be beautiful and just put on this show, tell this story. There's just so many elements to wrestling that I love, and not that I have regrets, but I'm like, I really wish I would have started this earlier because it is so much fun and so rewarding.
So obviously when you decide, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do the wrestling thing, what was it like? What was your process like of finding a place to train? Did you reach out to some of your friends who were already in the industry, and did they give you any advice or, hey, you need to talk to this person?
Yeah. Well, I did not reach out to any friends, actually. I just started doing my own research, and I found a school in Miami, and there's not many schools in Miami. So I found there's like 3 schools, maybe 2-3 schools. And I found one, and I didn't know anything about the business. I did no research at all. I'm just like, I'm going to the school. So, yeah, I went, and so I brought my boyfriend with me. My boyfriend, his name is Lou Curtis. He is also a wrestler. And I was telling him, hey, I really want to do wrestling. I really want to do wrestling. And he thought it was kind of silly at first, but so I dragged him to this class with me, and we did it. And the first day we're like, this is pretty freaking cool. And we walked out of there like, we're going to the WWE. and yeah, the rest is history. The rest is history. It was not easy at all. It was really hard. You go to training, you start doing little things, taking bumps. And I'm like, am I sure that I want to do this? Because this is kind of crazy. But no, the more you push through it, it gets a little easier and better and funner. And I'm finally at the point where I can have fun with it. Before I was too like in my head, and I was scared of everything. And now I feel way more comfortable, and it's just so awesome.
Well, a lot of people, we've talked to Mikey a lot, and when he doesn't let his students in the ring right away. That's kind of like a privilege you have to earn. What was it like with you?
That's like an old school thing, like an old school mentality. I know a lot of schools that are like that. They'll just like do drills, blow you up, work out outside of the ring, and like 3 months later you're allowed to get in the ring. The school I went to wasn't like that. It was like a crash course, I would say. They just want to get you ready. So the first day I did rolls, I did bumps, and yeah, they didn't ease me into it. They just threw me in the fire. Do it. I'm like, okay. My first bump was horrendous. I like laid out like a starfish. I think I gave myself a concussion. It was so bad. It was so bad. I'm glad things have changed.
You mentioned that you are kind of a jill of trades between wrestling and modeling and singing and acting, all of these wonderful things. What is it about live performance that has gripped you? Because clearly, even with all of these things, that's like the common element that brings it all together.
Absolutely, absolutely. And when I started wrestling, my family, they all thought it was so random and came out of nowhere. But I'm like, listen, if you really think about it, wrestling combines almost all the elements, the things that I love. I get to look beautiful. I get to be an actress. I get to kick some ass. So it incorporated a lot of the performing arts element that have been in love with. I've always knew since I was a little kid, probably 5 years old, that I wanted to be an entertainer. My first passion was music, something me and my mom shared, singing around the house together. And then from then it just led on to, okay, let me try something else. Let me try acting with it. Let me try modeling with it. And I feel like I'm just kind of just adding on to my character with all these different elements and, just different things to support it. Now I'm not just a wrestler. Now I'm a wrestler model, and, just different things that I like to incorporate, things that will make me stand out in the future.
So you've gone around and you've worked for different promotions. Is there any promotion that you really enjoy getting a chance to work with whenever that phone rings? Is there any place you would consider kind of being your home promotion, or is it kind of just about everywhere?
It's kind of become just about everywhere, because now I don't necessarily have a home promotion. I have promotions that I work often, and I'm officially part of their roster, and I go almost a couple times a month to wrestle for them. But I don't necessarily have a home promotion, but I do enjoy working for, I work for CCW, Coastal Championship Wrestling. They've been around for a very long time, a great promotion. I work for them. And I would say that my favorite promotion to probably work for is Mission Pro Wrestling, because it is all women, and that is just so freaking cool. All the commentary is women, the ring announcer, the referees, all the wrestlers, and it's the whole movement that they started, and it's always a lot of fun. The fans are amazing, and they buy all your merch. So that is a plus. They're so supportive, and Mission Pro Wrestling opened up so many doors for me. I've worked with them about 4 times already, but I love every time that I go back there.
So speaking of Mission Pro, not only are they a fantastic women-driven promotion, they're fairly young, pioneered by Thunder Rosa. You were recently performing at the Jacksonville Taco Festival. What was that experience like? And most importantly, how were the tacos at the Jacksonville Taco Festival?
I wish I could tell you. We didn't have any tacos. It's just so much that goes on into the shows. First of all, I can't eat before my match. I want to look as slim as possible, and I can't eat with food. I can't wrestle with food in my stomach and stuff. So I usually wait till after the show, but then after the show, it was so hot. I'm like, I had so much adrenaline still that I ended up not even eating tacos. But the event was awesome. There was a lot of people. I was surprised by how many people came to watch the wrestling portion of this festival, because I'm like, Chris Jericho's band is performing. There's all this food. There's so much going on. And, I'm like, how many people are going to come to watch us, especially that's just, women wrestling? But I was really surprised at the turnout. I thought we had a great show. And like I said, it's always fantastic when I get the opportunity to work for Mission Pro Wrestling.
So what's the atmosphere in the locker room like? You guys, like Kate said, it's a young company, led by Thunder Rosa. But is there a lot of bonding between you women in the background?
There definitely is a lot of bonding in the locker room, especially since a lot of us know each other. A lot of the females there also do AEW as well. So, when I go there, I'm usually familiar with more than half the wrestlers that are there. But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. Everybody's friendly. They're very, very big on respect. So everybody's super respectful, which is great. And we just all have a lot of fun together. Like I said, we know each other. So it's always good to see them. It's always good to see them. And my favorite person to see is Rosa Negra, because she's such a sweetheart. She is so cool. She's probably one of my favorite people ever, and great energy. So whenever I see La Rosa Negra, we're going to have a good time. She's crazy, just like me.
Speaking of a good time, it seems like the paths have crossed with some of the people that you've worked with and some people that have appeared on our show. Misa Kate from Chicago. And Masha Slamovich. We actually just had a conversation.
Yes, Masha Slamovich.
So what was that like working with them?
Masha is great. She's a great worker. She was probably one of my toughest opponents that I've had thus far. She's very fierce and vicious, and aggressive. I was a little nervous, but the first time I wrestled her was at a promotion called RWR out in Texas, and yeah, she was great to work with. She really challenged me, which is great, which I love. I like a good challenge. Then I worked her again at the Taco Festival. We had a triple threat match. So it's always a good time. I actually learned a lot from her, and she's been around to many places. She did a tour in Japan, so she's definitely someone that I learned from as well. Um, who was Missa Kate. Missa Kate was cool. That was the first time that I met her and worked with her was at the GCW show last month, and she's a lot of fun. She's goofy, which I like. So we had a good time with our match.
What would you say when it comes to wrestling that is different from the other forms of performing, such as being in front of an audience? Did that ever bother you as far as once you got out there, after your training was done? Was that difficult to be able to perform, or did you feel like that came fairly natural as far as, you know what, I'm ready to go?
That's an interesting question. In terms of like going out there, I like speaking. I like to make an entrance. So those things were easy for me. If I have to cut a promo or, my entrance is one of my favorite parts of, my whole gimmick. So those things I was very, very confident in. But the wrestling, I was kind of nervous. It takes a while. And right after I made my debut, company started reaching out to me right away. And it was a little nerve wracking because I'm like, I don't feel like I was ready. But I'm like, you know what? You just have to face your fears, go out there and just learn as you go. And I mean, it definitely helped. I'm glad I jumped on those opportunities because I feel like it allowed me to progress at a faster rate than I would have if I would have just stayed in my training and doing all of that. Because I made my debut, and I believe three and a half months later is that AEW reached out to me.
Wow.
So that was just like, I cannot believe that was even happening. I thought it would take like 2.5 years for a company like that to even look at me. So it was very, very nerve-wracking. But I have learned a lot, especially being in AEW and kind of just being thrown in that fire. And it's a lot different working for TV, working for cameras. And I learned a lot because I had to. You just kind of have to when you're put into that situation. You just kind of go with it. But I'm glad that things worked out the way that they did. I feel like it pushed me to be better and work harder.
In AEW, there's a lot of experience there, Who do you go to, when you have questions, or, do you wait for feedback from matches, or, what do you do there?
So after my match, usually Dustin Rhodes is our go-to. He's usually the agent for our matches. So after your match, he'll be the first one to give you feedback. I love Dustin. So sweet, so helpful, so supportive. He really knows how to boost you up before your match. So I love going to him. The people that I go to the most for advice, it would be Dustin, Jerry Lynn. I go to him often. I attended his seminar last year, so that's where we originally met. So when I came to AEW, he already remembered me. So we already kind of had a relationship, and we kind of got closer because of that. Chris Jericho, he's a great guy as well, and he watches my matches, gives me feedback, and I'm always so extremely appreciative of that. And Tony Schiavone, I love him. He's great also. Another one always giving me the feedback. So those are like my 4 guys right there that I always go to and ask for advice, or they just give me feedback. Whatever I need, I go to them.
When it comes to another aspect of wrestling that I've talked to a lot of people, and they've mentioned that it takes some time before they feel comfortable. Promo class. Obviously, I've talked to Mr. Lynn before. Obviously, promos are not the easiest thing to do in the world, and especially getting your message out. How would you describe your process when it comes to putting maybe a promo together, whether it be with an AEW or another promotion? Is there something that you say, all right, I have bullet point, bullet point, bullet point, or do you just kind of go off the feel of the audience?
That's a great question. So when it comes to promos, I'm confident in the way that I speak, the way I enunciate, and the inflections, and I'm confident in that. But saying things off the top of my head sometimes, I'm just like, I don't know. So I like to write things down. I write like everything down. I like to write things down, be prepared, so I can get my point across clearly. And the way I set up my promos, I kind of like to set them up like a match. So let's say, for example, you know, in the beginning of a match, you do the opening spot, you do the shine. So I like to shine up my opponent, you know, let them know, okay, yeah, I see you. I know you've been doing a good job. You've been killing it, but yada, yada, yada. So from that moment on, then we switch things up. I put some heat. I talk a little smack, tell them why I'm the best, why I'm going to win and all this. Then they might get a little comeback. I might shine them up one last time, and then I will finish them with my closing lines. So that's the format that I like to stick to get my point across. I don't like to sound like a straight bitch, you know, so I give them a little moment when I do my promos. I like to shine them up, give them their credit, but then let them know why Leila Gray is the unstoppable danger and why I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Is there anybody? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to jump in and say you are the unstoppable danger. You are the vicious vixen, and that you have worked yourself into a championship match against Nikki Adams on August 14th. Two absolute badasses going at it.
Yeah.
Speaking of promos, what do you want to tell Nikki, and what do you want the fans to know about this awesome match coming up on the 14th?
Well, I would like the fans to know that, you know, Leila Gray is from Queens, New York. I'm a queen from Queens. So this is my official New York debut, which is a very, very big deal for me. I got family coming, friends coming. So I have to bring it. And I know I'm going to bring it. I'm going to give it all that I got. I know that I'm going to come harder than I usually do because I have some very important people watching me there, supporting me, and I'm not about to let them down. So, Nikki, I've heard great things about you, but you need to watch it because I'm not about to go to New York and lose. That's not an option.
Speaking of New York, and somebody that I've had a chance to follow for a while now, Eddie Kingston. Let me ask you, have you ever had a chance to cross paths with Eddie? And what were your experiences like having a chance to talk to somebody like that?
Well, Eddie's great. He is definitely like a jokester. He likes to joke around with people. He's just a really, really funny guy. Definitely great energy to have around. He's been in the business for a long time. So if I get the moment to talk to him about a match, I definitely will. He is just a great energy, like I said, to have around. Great friend. And since he's also from New York, he reminds me a lot of my peoples in New York. So I feel like we were able to click and vibe like off the spot. And, you know, now when we see each other, it's a lot of fun and games, joking around and stuff. I definitely like his vibe. Definitely like his vibe.
Well, there's so many different things and there's so many different promotions that are out there. Is there anybody right now that you're looking at as far as wrestling that, I guess is a two-part question. A, who would you like to get a chance to work with? And who do you think right now is at the top when it comes to women's wrestling? Whether it's on a national promotional level or, you know, the independent scene, who do you feel like is really, really knocking it out right now?
Really knocking it out. Well, okay, two-part question. Who would I like to wrestle? I want to wrestle La Rosa Negra because, like I mentioned before, I love her. She trained me for a little bit. I've done some seminars with her, and she taught me a lot. And she's actually the one that helped me put together my entrance. So she had a big part to play in me developing my character and, you know, just coming out, revealing that I was a wrestler. So she's definitely the person that I would like to wrestle. But who is on top of women's wrestling right now? I feel like it's between Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, because they're just what all the blogs are talking about. You know, Thunder Rosa from NWA to now fully signed to AEW, doing her Mission Pro Wrestling. So she's very inspirational. She's always doing something. So people are always talking about her. She's at like the top of her game right now. Britt Baker, she has come such a long way, and she is the face of the AEW women's division, and people love her. She knows what she's doing, and you know, I feel like there's still more levels of her that we haven't seen yet. So I'm excited to see the way that her career plays out, but they're definitely at the top of the women's division right now.
And your microphone is muted.
Mine?
Okay. No, mine.
I should have just let you keep going.
You should have.
No, you're fine.
I
You're fine.
saw his mouth moving. I'm like, is he saying something or is he chewing? I wasn't sure.
Okay. Tough question. The hardest question you're probably ever going to be asked.
And I apologize ahead of time for this.
It's okay.
Hot tub time machine. You can go back in the wrestling history and any match, take somebody out and put yourself in that match. What would it be and why? And please don't tell Jerry I'm still asking this question.
Take somebody in, or can it be like somebody I would like to wrestle from the past? Because I'm like, I'm not sure what match necessarily I would have liked to been in from the past.
Well, since it's you, I'll change it up. That can be the question for you.
Okay. Well, my biggest inspiration in wrestling was China. So, maybe if we tagged, I don't know if I necessarily would want to go against her. but if we tagged, I think that would have been something amazing. We could have went out there in our little bikini tops, looking strong, and just kick some ass together.